Will broke into a fit of laughter at those words. "Mr. Sage, the Torrent clan has been around in Seachertown for almost a century, and we have certainly built a name for ourselves in that time. The oldest son, Manny Torrent, is the vice secretary of Seachertown, and many of the members of the clan are holding important roles in the city. Even someone like Lightning Hank would have to pay his respects to me in these parts of town. Do you think we'd be afraid of a little nobody like the Channings?" Sammy had obviously heard about how powerful the Torrent clan was. Otherwise, he wouldn't have wanted to work with Will. He said those words with a clear goal in mind. Sammy chuckled at Will's words. "The Torrent clan is powerful indeed. Well, Mr. Torrent, what are you going to do about this? You're my guest, and someone hit you, of course. I'm going to stand up for you. I'm going to break both legs of whoever hit you earlier." Will said grimly. Sammy clapped loudly. "Very well. I'll give you a bigger cut in the profit when we work together just for this. How's that sound?" Will smiled. "You've got a deal." He then looked at Steve and said coldly, "Bring those bastards over here. Who do they think they are? What idiots!" Steve nodded at once. He signaled the burly man at the back of the room to follow him. Just then Edward was in the middle of bragging about how he had just beaten the crap out of that bloody pervert and stood up for Cindy. Frank agreed to his every word, making Edward sound all the more like a hero. Cindy had her head held high. She had a smug look as if she had just won a war. Wilbur shook his head surreptitiously, and the classmates looked bored out of their minds. Everyone just wanted the dinner to end so they could go home. No one wanted to get into any trouble. Just then the door of the room was pushed open, and Steve walked in. Edward looked over and said at once, "Mr. Zoner, where had you been? Something nearly happened just now." Steve's tone turned devoid of any of the politeness from just now as he said, "Oh, really?" "Yes, something did happen." Edward frowned. "What do you mean by that, Steve?" "What did I mean? Didn't you just beat someone up?" Steve asked coldly. Steve's tone made everyone speculate that something bad was about to happen. However, Edward said, "There was this stupid fat pervert earlier. He groped my girlfriend, so I taught him a lesson. Is that who you're referring to?" "That's right," Steve said. Edward burst into laughter at those words. "Forget it. I've already taught him a lesson. You can stay out of this." Steve smirked coldly. "Stay out of this? You beat him up and you want me to stay out of it?" It was only then that Edward realized something was wrong. "What do you mean by that?" "What do I mean?" Steve asked coldly. He then continued after a moment's pause. "That was one of Mr. Torrent's honored guests. You beat him up, which means you've offended Mr. Torrent. He's demanding an explanation now." Edward started sweating bullets after hearing those words. As the son of someone with some power, Edward knew a thing or two about how powerful the Torrent clan was. The Torrent clan was one of the oldest clans in Seachertown. The oldest among the Torrent scions, Manny, was a secretary for the government. That was a higher position than the one Edward's father had. The Torrent clan had a powerful influence in the underground scene as well, and they were definitely not to be trifled with. The classmates in the room did not understand exactly how powerful the Torrents were, but they had a bad feeling about what was going to happen just from the look at Edward's face. Edward was tripping over his words then, unable to say anything. He did not want to lose his pride, not in front of Cindy or all these people. However, if he did not go with Steve, he would be no match for someone from the Torrent clan. With that, he froze in place, unsure what to do. Just then, Steve said, "Whoever had a part in beating that man up, you're all coming with me. Mr. Torrent would like to have a word with all of you."